Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Sisters.
Sisters.
There were never such devoted
Sisters.
Oh. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Oh, man, I'm always happy to be with you, too.
Usually I bring up a little something, memory, idea. Then we talk it through. I dig into that brain of yours. Then we look at strategies sometimes, and really always focusing on that beautiful Rosie's brain, the neurodivergent, diverse, cool, funkalicious brain of yours.
That's right.
And this series, we're really getting into the ADHD-ness of you, the attention deficit hyperactivity distinction.
Ooh, I like that.
Do you like that?
Distinction.
As opposed to disorder? I was thinking about that. So, okay.
I like that. I like that a lot.
We'll go with that. I heard that actually a speaker at the SALT Center. It's a center for students with learning disabilities at the University of Arizona. And they had honored Mom with a director award for her work.
That's so cool. Yeah, she's done so much work over the years with them.
Yeah, and so they had brought her in for that award, but it was a bigger night. You know, she was one of the honorees, and they had brought in someone to do a keynote speech, and he called LD, learning disabilities, he said learning distinctions. And I always liked that, because it is a distinct way of learning, or a distinct way of thinking.
I like that, because then it destigmatizes it. It's not a disorder.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look at all of this. Now that we have video, for those of you who can't see, I'm like wafting my hand over my face. I'm like, ooh, so pretty.
Well, you are pretty. That is totally true.
It's true.
So today we're gonna get into something, and we've talked around this before, but I want to get into the nitty gritty of it, and I'm gonna bring up something that maybe you might remember, which is a little chore list our mother used to leave for us. Do you remember these chore lists?
Yes.
Yeah. So she would have to go to work, and it was usually on a Saturday. And now thinking of it, I'm like, did she actually have to go to work, or was she just like, I need a minute? No, but no, she went. She was a very hard worker. So she would leave us, and there would be this list of things to do. And as I remember it, being the eldest, I felt some sense of responsibility that I was trying to get you and our brother. And now there's a 5-year age difference. So I would have been 10. And Mike would have been
between you and Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would have been 5. And then there's 7 between you and I. So you would have been 3 or something. Right. And somehow this list, and it was never like a list of like 2 things. Right.
No.
It would be just endless number of things. It felt, I don't know. Maybe it was 10 things, but
I think it was like a list of 5 or 6 things, but the things were big. It was like vacuum,
the world,
and dishes, and bless Mom.
Yeah,
there's so many wonderful things I love about her. But the whiteboard list, Mom, if you're listening, which, who knows? Hi. But you know what it is? It's the fact that the list, it was like just this big, giant, overarching thing, like vacuum. But the task requires so many steps in order to complete it.
Right.
And it hasn't been until recently I've realized there's like this tool. I think it's like Goblin Tools. I'll have to look up the thing, but it's for spicy neurodiverse people. And you basically
said Goblin,
I think goblin.tools.
Okay, but like a goblin, like a
like a little
goblin.
Like a little goblin.
Okay.
Yeah, goblin.tools. It's smart tools for the neurospicy.
Oh.
And so what you do is you type in the item, and then you can click add, and then you can tell it how many spices, like how many chilies are you? Are you like a little bit spicy?
What does that mean?
Well, this is a new thing that people are calling themselves is neurospicy because like they're not
Oh.
typical, they're not boring, they're a little spicy. You know, it's like we got a little spice
Ah.
going on because we're.
Oh, I
So
love
I think
that.
that's what it means, anyways. That's what I'm
Okay.
gathering from it.
I'm just remembering like ratemyprofessor.com and did you have chili peppers? So that's not it's not you're not hot, you're just cool and interesting. I mean, you might also be hot.
How hot is your brain?
My
My
brain is
brain is so
sexy.
sexy. It
I
is
was like
though.
I'm like, I
It
don't
is
know.
sexy. So with this goblin.tools, you can click on how many, like I think it's, between 1 and 5. Yeah, 1 and
Mm. What are
5.
you? What are you?
Oh, I'm a at least a 4, sometimes 5. It depends on the day. I
You're
can
like, they
feel
don't
it.
have that many chilies,
They need more
people.
chilies, okay? Goblin.tools, you need more chilies. But it'll literally break down, like, so for instance, okay, I'll put it in here. It'll say, I'll put in vacuum,
Mm.
right? You tell them 1 spicy, and then it like does this whole list for you. Plug in the vacuum, turn on the vacuum, move the vacuum back and forth over the floor, empty the bag or canister when full, turn off the vacuum, unplug the vacuum,
Oh my
right?
god, what's a 5, Megan?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
This is my
That's
life.
fantastic though. Yeah, I can see
Isn't
that.
it?
Breaking it down into the task analysis, that's what we would do as teachers. We would break things down into smaller chunks.
Task analysis. That sounds so professional.
I know, I
I love
am.
it.
I am a professional.
Okay, so I've put it at 5, and
Uh-huh.
now it's going to calculate all the things. Okay, plug in the vacuum, attach the appropriate nozzle or attachment, turn
Oh.
on the vacuum, begin vacuuming by moving the vacuum back and forth. Pay attention to areas that need extra cleaning. Empty the
Uh,
dust bag or container when full. Turn off the vacuum.
wow.
Unplug the vacuum. Store the vacuum and attachments properly.
Wow. Okay, so not a lot more, but a little bit more specificity.
Right. But then let's
Okay.
just say that you get into, okay, the whole begin vacuuming by moving the vacuum back and forth. I'm like, okay, well, I need more than that. Or pay attention to areas that need special cleaning. I can
Mm.
then delve into that task and say, give me more information on that. So
Mm.
I'm asking it to process that for me. It says, okay, clear out any clutter from the area. Use a flashlight to inspect corners and crevices. Dust any shelves, windows, sills, or surfaces.
Okay,
Check for any.
I'm just laughing because I mean, who does this? And
Right.
I hope in our community somebody says I do and I'm going to say I want to be you cuz I that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just not that detailed, but wow.
But it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Even if it's like,
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
is
how
it
to.
like AI for task analysis?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
I think so. I mean, this is here. I'll show
Wow.
you. I don't know if you can see it, but like that's.
Oh, and there's a checklist. You can check. Is it a Oh, and it's just a website?
Yeah, it's a
Anyone can do
website.
it.
You can
Cool.
also. I think they have a. It looks like they have an app too now that you pay $1 for the app, but you can do it all online. And
Nice.
it's fantastic because you can delete certain tasks if they're not necessary for you. So you can go back and forth with them. And that's
That's
how I started
amazing.
decluttering my house, honestly.
Okay, I want to go back a step though.
Okay, sorry.
So, no sorries. I love this. I'm just curious about you. You need this little goblin in your
Yeah.
you
Isn't it great?
I don't know. I don't know what else to call it, but you need this little and that goblin sounds a little bit like the executive functioning piece of what my brain does for me because my brain kind of does that automatically. So I'm
Mm.
curious for you. I mean, I don't want to say automatically like all those tasks because my brain never has ever said get a flashlight and look in the corner for anything, but
Well, it also took that one specific task and broke it down even
even more.
further
Yeah, yeah,
at
sure.
a 5 level. I mean, if I'd done it at
Got
a
it.
1 level, might have
Yeah.
been less.
Okay, so maybe I have like a 1 goblin in my head sometimes and a 2 goblin head. I don't know how to say this. I'm not saying it right, but whatever.
I don't know
So,
either. I'm just enjoying us
yeah,
trying.
trying. So, okay, my question for you though is so you're getting up in the morning, you're out of bed. Let's get like that
Yeah.
out of the way, but you have like things to get done. So, what is that like for you? What is it that experience of trying to get things done? And maybe
Mm.
vacuuming's a good, well, you don't have to vacuum anymore because you don't have carpet, but what's that cleaning your floors, for example, or whatever? What's the tasks how does that work for you?
It doesn't. I think that's the challenge. Like I struggle just to even clean my bathroom, which I'm
Mm,
sure a lot of people are going to be horrified, but I see that it's dirty, and once I've left the room, I struggle to remember that I need to do it.
mm,
So as I'm trying to figure this out, this is one of my biggest challenges right now in my life, is figuring out how to get stuff done, how to get tasks done. I don't just like get up and think it and then automatically do it.
hmm. And so the list that mom would leave, did those kinds of things help you? Lists?
No.
Well, I guess the goblin list does, but that's a different kind of list, maybe?
Well, I mean, yeah, the idea of a list where you can check things off, I really do enjoy that. I
Mm,
enjoy that process. But the thing is that I think I have a bit of a completionistic outlook on things. So I can't check off the vacuuming until the vacuum is put back into its place because it's
mm,
not officially done.
mm,
Some people might be able to just, run the vacuum and maybe just do a few areas and they're fine. But I literally am like, okay, well, I got to get under the couches and I got to lift up things and I got to move things around. And, I'm trying to
mm,
do it perfectly to get the task done. And
mm.
I think part of that, not having it be 100%, is
Yeah.
a huge part of it.
So the 100% piece, does that start before you even start the task?
Yeah. I see the word vacuum and then I know I'm starting to imagine all the things I have to do in order to get it, but like I'm not seeing it in like a linear sense. I'm seeing it in a what is this, Michelle? What am I
Like a
doing?
scattered plot almost, like
Yeah.
it's not there's no rhyme or reason to it. You're just kind of like flicking your hands in the air going like, "Okay, it's somewhere, but I don't know."
Yeah. I'm going thinking back to the list that mom would make, and I'm seeing the vacuum on the carpet in our new room area. And then I'm seeing the vacuum.
The new room,
um
by the way, people, that we called the new room for like 15 years. They put an addition on in the house and that never was not the new room. But
it's always
anyway,
the new
yeah,
room.
always the new where are you gonna go? Go to the new room? But okay, so you're seeing though the vacuum on the new in the carpet that was there.
Yeah, and then I'm seeing the couch, the, like, plaid couch
Mm,
that we had, and then I'm seeing, having to move the rocker out of the way, but then I'm also seeing the edge of the carpet where the linoleum started and the carpet ended. I'm seeing the vacuum and where it was located, but then I
mm.
can't find it because it's not there. I'm seeing, like, all these different things, and then I get so overwhelmed by the word vacuum that I just shut down.
Wow. So it's almost like a movie that's out of order or something in
Yeah.
your head?
Mhm.
And then that's just really what?
It's overwhelming. It's like it's overload. It
Mm.
is trying to think like I know there's an analogy I'm thinking of and I'm trying to put it into words. I'm seeing a car engine that's overheated and like the smoke's coming out of it
Mm.
because it ran and ran and ran and it got overheated and then it just stopped.
Interesting.
That's what I'm seeing happening in my brain.
So your brain literally overheats.
Yeah.
There's like steam coming out of your ears kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm like one of those cartoon characters.
Hmm. And is that because there's so many associations being made at once, do you think? Or is it more
Yeah, I
emotional?
No, I think it's literally the word vacuum and there's so many associations happening. There's so
Mm.
many different experiences that I've had with the vacuum. Sometimes I can also remember that it's broken or that there's part of it that's, some issue I had with it prior to that. So it's like all of these
Oh.
different moments that have the word vacuum attached to them are just flooding into my brain and I can't imagine what the first task is.
So it's
Like,
like you're categorizing or you've categorized all these vacuum experiences, not unlike your sticker collection from one of our very first podcasts.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I was thinking your brain was trying to visualize the process of vacuuming, but that doesn't sound like that's what it is. It sounds like the
Mm-mm.
word prompts you and then it's like a free association moment, where
Yep.
you would be like, okay, if maybe that was even like a game or a goal, it'd be like, tell me all the different ways that you understand the word vacuum and how it impacts
I
your
would
life and where you've seen
I
it
would
before.
win.
You
I would
would
win that game. Yes. Yes, I would.
but you lose spectacularly at actually vacuuming.
Oh, true.
So true. Okay, so here's where I want to fully dig in.
Okay,
Okay.
ready.
What is the goblin then doing for you? How is that helping? Because I would still think you would see the word vacuum and have all these
Well,
associations.
so I wrote the word vacuum, and then the very next thing it says underneath it is plug in the vacuum.
Mm.
So it's become less of a short word and it's become an action.
Ah,
So it's directing me on what to do.
got it.
So
Because my brain would do that for me. My brain would be like, okay, go get the vacuum, plug
yep,
in the vacuum. And
right.
your brain just says linoleum and carpet. And remember that one time I lost the vacuum and then I don't know what
Yeah,
attachment.
cuz
Ah.
it's they're seeing the word
Mm,
vacuum, right?
mm,
And there's an association being made that you're supposed to now go and vacuum the house. That's what the word vacuum is identifying. But it's not actually telling me what to do. It's just a word. And so I'm looking
mm.
at the word saying, okay, so I see the word vacuum. What do you want me to do with that vacuum? So Michelle, this one,
So she was using it as a verb, but you're using it as a noun.
yeah, I guess that's true.
I
But
mean,
vacuum what?
oh, okay. You're
She's
like,
used
it could be the couches, it could be the
your
drapes.
your hair. I mean, it could be your face. I always loved like vacuuming my hand. That always felt fun. Like, when you get the suction, it goes and it's like, "Roar." I always loved that.
I used to see you do that as a kid. I didn't know what you were doing. I'm like, does she have something on her hand? I thought you had dirt on it or something and you were like trying to get it out. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I just found it fascinating vacuuming different things and seeing what would happen. Like, what would happen if I vacuumed my pant leg? Like, the suction is just so fascinating. I'm like, "What is it doing?"
So I'm sure you were categorizing the sounds it made too. Like if
Oh,
I do this,
probably,
what's it
yeah.
sound like? What's it sound? Oh my goodness,
But
that's so
see,
funny.
what the Goblin Tools does is like, okay, if I say plug in the vacuum, right?
Yeah.
So I can actually now, as an adult, think, okay, I got to go find the vacuum. I got to pull it out. Like, I at least have that now. But as a kid, I would have needed to take that one task, plug in the vacuum, and break it down,
Hmm.
and just to get myself started. So this one is like literally it tells you move towards the location of the vacuum, locate the plug in the vicinity, pick up
Ah,
the plug, inspect the plug for any damage, identify the power source, align the plug with the power source, insert the plug into the power source, ensure
I
the
mean,
plug is securely connected.
it's a miracle you are alive.
Seriously,
That
it's
you
true,
fed yourself all the way through grad school.
right?
That you oh my gosh.
Mhm. Mhm. These are
Yeah,
the
I mean,
things that
we
I
take
don't.
our little executive goblins for granted, don't we? Those of us who have them.
That's right, you
That'd
do.
be super hard.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
that's what I've realized, that through all of the things in my life, like any task is broken down into a series of steps. If you don't know the series of steps, then how do you know how to do the task?
Okay, I am gonna completely say I understand this from this one perspective. Okay,
Okay.
so the ice maker I bought.
Oh, yeah.
You have left me now,
I know. I'm
correct?
so sorry.
Yeah, you used to live like down the street and now you are 12 hours away by car.
Yeah. I'm
So
sorry.
you are my mechanical genius. And so I just failed to learn how to do this, how to clean it. And if you don't clean it, apparently, like, why
Yep.
did I buy this stupid thing? Anyway, you don't clean it the right way, then it gets sad. It's very temperamental.
Very temperamental.
So
Yes.
you figured out all the steps and did all the steps for me, and I don't know how to do it. So now it is sitting there with none of the great ice, like the best ice,
The
those little
Sonic
nugget
ice.
ice, the Sonic ice,
Yeah.
love that ice. So now I'm jealous of our friend Heather because she has it in her fridge. She bought a fridge that makes the nugget ice.
What?
And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
You need to get a new fridge, Michelle.
Apparently, so saving up for that. But in the meantime, I have zero idea how this ice maker, the steps I need to make this thing happen. I probably should put that into the goblin.
Oh, I wonder if it would do it.
I don't know. We're not going to check right now, but
Okay.
I will do it, check it later. But if everything in your life is an ice maker,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So once
Because
you
even
do learn it once, does it stay with you or not really?
not always. And that's the thing is that
Oh.
depending on the day, it's in there somewhere.
Mhm.
It's just how long is it going to take for me to locate where it is?
Right.
And how much energy does it take for me to locate that? I think that's the bigger thing is that
Mm.
with attention deficit, it's more that like your attention goes in so many different places that it's hard to find things at times that you're looking for in
Mentally
your
find
mentally,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
Which is why it physically manifests, right? So if I have the word vacuum and I've now attached it to hundreds of different things,
Mhm.
well, which vacuum do you want, Megan? Do you
Mm.
want it in this context or that context? Where am I looking? And this is why sometimes I struggle with even just doing basic organization because I can look at something and see it in multiple ways. Like, okay, let's say your mortgage, right? You have a piece of paper for your mortgage. Is it financial? Is it bank? Is it home? Is it that name of the company? Is it
Mm.
taxes for that year? Like where do you file it?
Mm.
And so that's what happens in my brain. I file the tax
But you don't
statements.
just file it in one place, it sounds like in your brain. You file it in multiple places.
I do. Yeah. Which
Wow.
is why that's what I think makes it really amazing is that when I'm doing something, I can have these crazy associations that most people probably can't have.
Mhm.
However, when doing a basic task, it's like
Those
I got to get through all that other stuff just to figure out, okay, Megan, what are we doing with it? Where are we at?
Yes. Like, when you think about your strategies then, do
Yeah.
you use this goblin.com or dot task or dot something?
Goblin.tools.
Oh, goblin.tool. See, I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
Do you use it all the time or is it just, when you're really stuck or what strategies are you using? Cuz you seem to
Well,
be doing a lot better in your home recently.
yeah. I mean, this is what I started when I was decluttering
Mm.
because I had just too much stuff and I couldn't figure out kind of how to do it on my own. So a friend of mine recommended this and I tried it out and it did help just, I wrote the word declutter. Everyone says declutter,
Mm.
declutter. I'm like, what does that mean? So I wrote it in there and kind of followed through those steps.
In
I
in the
tend
goblin thing,
Yeah,
you wrote declutter and it told you, "Oh,
yeah.
wow." Okay.
Yeah, I wrote declutter, or I think I said like, how to clean my bathroom, whatever it
Mhm.
was. And I broke it down into different steps. I wrote declutter and it says like, okay, identify the area that needs to be decluttered. Gather necessary supplies such as trash bags and bins. Sort items into categories such as keep, donate, throw away. So it just kind
Mm.
of gave me a starting point to work on. And then I can break a task apart, like, okay, that sorting one, can I break that task down further? Yeah. And then it can kind of help me
Hmm.
when I get stuck. I can kind of, okay, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do next. Well, I can then break that thing I'm stuck on down into further tasks to hopefully just kind of give me a jump start.
Yeah.
Right. Cause like my engine is overloaded, it's overheated. And so now my battery is not working and I need to just give myself a jump start in order to get going again.
Mm. Yeah, so it's basically like kinda clearing the cache or clearing the memory of your computer and letting something else hold that for a little bit so that you can then just do the thing.
Yeah. Now,
Interesting.
I'm also going to say though that I tend to forget that I have this feature because I just recently learned it.
Go back to the forgetfulness episode. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, you
So,
forget you have Goblin or you
uh-huh.
forget okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think it's a combination of different things because sometimes that's exactly what I need when it's like a really bad day, And
Mm.
then sometimes it's listening to a podcast and this lady, Lisa Woodruff, like listening to her podcast or listening to some of the other minimalist people or, what I listen to different people for different things. I'm not a minimalist and I never will be, but listening to some of their strategies and some of their organizational tips.
Mm.
That's organization. We were talking about tasks.
But I mean, part of it is that when you're trying to get organized, you have a lot of tasks to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think as you're talking about this, it's tasks are something that could be for almost anything, right? So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to go and feed my family, or I need to go and do my self-care routine, or I need to go. It's a lot of tends to be or helpful if you can make them into routines. I know. But I was curious just kind of what you were needing. So I really appreciate you talking about the whole vacuuming piece, because I just didn't understand. Sorry, you almost did a spit take, didn't you? I apologize. I didn't realize you were drinking.
It's
But
okay.
that idea, though, that I had no clue when you were saying the word vacuum, that you were really free associating at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Unless
that's
tasks are written in a certain way for you, and something probably you have to go back to, I imagine, because,
yeah.
you've said before that short-term memory is a bit difficult, so that would be hard if you even if you thought through all the tasks, I mean, thought through all the subtasks or whatever to make up that one task, like, remembering what you came up with could be difficult.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like with the goblin tools, I had to go back and I had left it out and I would just keep looking at it over and over again. I've gotten to the point now where I don't have my screen turn off
Mm.
because and I just will plug it in if I need extra battery, but like I keep
Oh,
my screen
for your phone.
I keep my
Uh-huh.
screen on because if my phone turns off, even just the simple act of having to turn the phone back on will take me completely out of the task.
Mm.
But the other thing I'm learning, someone was saying, okay, so you're just going to start like one of the things you start decluttering, right? And you just want to go look for trash. You take a trash bag and you walk around your house and you just say trash, 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 trash. And you just keep saying that word over and over and over again in your head because then it just focuses you. And it actually did work. Like I forgot a few times after I was like, wait, what am I doing again? Okay, I'm right, trash, 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 trash. But it did
I
help
think
me
that was
actually.
Lisa Woodruff, her book that you've been reading.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the and so the idea of multitasking, I think, is a bunch of BS. I think she
Mhm.
says it's like people who quote unquote are good at multitasking really are just good at switching tasks quickly and getting back on
Mhm.
top of it. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's like I just got to do one task and finish it completely. And then I
Yeah,
can move on to the next task. And if I just keep having that one task that I've done, I got that one task done.
that's
And that's
awesome.
exciting.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Still don't have this figured out. That's why I'm trying to work through her program to see if this helps with the
Mm.
tasks. I do like this idea of deferring tasks to a specific day because I'm not good at switching up things quickly to be able to know like, okay, if I see it, if I'm holding something, you guys brought me this piece of paper. And if
Mm.
I'm holding this and I'm like, I got to do something with this now. Okay, I'm going to put this in my basket and then I'll deal with it all on Sunday.
And that idea of transitioning between types of tasks, that multitasking is, I think, what she said, that transition, that you're going from decision making to cleaning, that is a different part of your brain that you're having to use. And so that's interesting, that idea of kind of putting things, and it reminds me actually of school quite a lot, a structure around this is what this time is for.
Mm,
This is your math time. This is your reading time. This is your history time, whatever it is, right? And so
yeah.
I think that makes sense. Like, this is your decision making time. And I'm going
Hmm.
to leave it till then, because making decisions takes a lot of energy.
It does.
Yeah. So you got to kind of got to be in the mindset for it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, in terms of our community, I'm curious what people do and if anyone's tried this goblin tool or if there's other strategies people are using. Have you tried other strategies over the years?
Oh, yeah, I've tried just making a list. That's always challenging. I've tried there's an app called To Do, which in theory is great. It's just a little too overwhelming for me. It's like a little, one too many things that for me that don't really work well with my brain. It's not
Mhm.
easy to input. I've tried using my calendar. I've tried getting a physical calendar. I'm not a physical calendar person.
Hmm.
I want to be so badly because I just see these people with these beautiful calendars and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like calendar porn. I want to I want to be that person and I'm just not.
That makes me laugh. I want to be, Taryn, who listens to us. I was mentioning her at one of other podcasts, but she has like perfect like Taryn font, and every day she has on her iPad the things or week or something that she's got to get done, and she makes
Mm,
her list and she does them, and she stays focused on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I make a list in about 9 different places every single week, and it's like,
yeah.
wait, where was that one? What was that? So I think I definitely have a little bit of that too, where it would be helpful to have all of it in one place where I could always go back to it and find it. And that is a struggle for me, for sure.
Mm,
That's why I have so many different tools. And so it depends on what kind of thing I'm doing as to where I put it. But
that's true. And that for me, like if I have multiple places that I put something, then I forget.
mm,
So for me, it's like I've been trying to figure out where's that one place that you put stuff.
hmm
And so far, this makes the most sense. Again, I just started, so I'm still not, I can't say for certain, but I'll just even grab like scraps of paper and just write on there. I've got one here. It's like, okay, print the return label, just because I had to
mm,
do that, and so
mm.
I did it, and so it's helping me to kind of remember things.
Well,
But man, it's
I
tough.
definitely can attest to the fact that you sent me a picture of a receipt
I did.
from December. And it was, you were helping my boy return something, right, at the
Hmm.
mall, and you send me a message this last week, "Michelle, did you get reimbursed for this?" And I'm like, "December?" I'm looking back and I'm, finding it, and I found it finally, but I was like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Who is this person?" Like, I literally was like, "Is this the only thing she did that day? Because I don't know," it was it was just I'm like, "Where did you have this and why?" "Okay, great. Yeah, it was great."
'Cause,
But
like,
no, that's huge.
that's the thing is I keep stuff thinking, like, I wanna be respectful and responsible for people, and then it goes into a pile, and then I never take action on it, and so she was
Mm,
having me go through, like, I made a big giant laundry basket of just I took every single piece of paper I had, and then I needed to go through them all. And as I was going through it all, you get all the trash out, trash, 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 trash. You get all the recycle, whatever, and then you have to make decisions. And I was like, okay, well, I'm looking at this piece of paper, thinking, what is this? Oh, this is what I did a return for you guys. I'm like, oh, does Michelle need this? I don't know. And I'm like, oh, I could just send her a picture of it,
it's awesome.
and then if she needs it, she can let me know, and if not, I can just shred it.
That
Um,
must feel so good to
it
have
does.
at least a solution or a potential solution. I mean, that's huge.
I the thing that I love the most about it is that she says, "I have it figured out for you so that
Mm,
you don't have to reinvent the wheel."
mm.
And I'm like, "Yes, please.
Please.
I will pay you whatever you need if you have the answers for me." And just something as simple as I've done a good job of kind of consolidating all of our financial records and all of my medical history and all of that into certain locations.
Mhm.
But I know I don't have to keep all of it. I know that like I don't have to keep the original mortgage from a home that we not only refinance multiple times but also just sold, right?
Right.
So to be able to have she has it all written out, like here are the things that you absolutely need to keep.
Mm.
And to be able to have somebody else tell me like I've researched this is what you need to keep. I'm like, "Yes. Okay. I will follow you. I will be the lemming. I will follow you to wherever you tell me to go." Maybe not everywhere, but that I've
Yeah.
gotten some knowledge along the way from different people, but also having her help to just she is the goblin dot tools for this
Mm.
specific thing. She is telling me, okay, do this, do this, do this, go,
Yeah,
and I
because
will
it's so interesting. I think the term adulting is interesting when I think of this because I want to really break this down just a little bit because I think it's a different thing. I'm not sure you would have been ready for, is it Lisa Woodruff? Is that right?
yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
think you would have been ready for her maybe even 5, 6 years ago.
Right. No, I wouldn't
So
have.
you have an emotional maturity that to me is the adulting, meaning you're willing to participate, you're willing to try these things. I don't think because you weren't great at doing these things that has anything to do with being an adult or being responsible. I think it had to do more with what your brain does or doesn't track, right? And what your brain is or isn't, the distinction it has and its ability is this free association, which is phenomenal and super important as a creative. And that same thing is also that double edged sword.
Yeah.
But to me, the adulting piece of it is that you are doing it. She has this strategy and you are doing the strategy.
Yeah.
right?
And I would tweak one word in that it's not a willingness,
Mm,
it's that it's the ability to. So
mm,
I agree with you. Like I did not have the ability or the capacity 5 or 6 years ago to do this because my brain was overwhelmed with trauma and emotional stuff, and so
mm.
that was the thing that needed to be taken care of.
And is that
And
even different than to say like adulting is really about I'm just going to be lazy and not do something because I don't think I should have to versus I have emotional reasons why I'm not having the capacity to do this.
yeah, I think that even the term adulting is very ableist.
Mm,
And I hear a lot of people who are saying I'm an adult are the ones that can
mhm,
consistently do that. And it's just another way to shame people, in my opinion.
mm,
That somehow me taking multiple years to not have a job and to focus on my mental health and to learn all I could about that and to do all to do that process, that somehow I wasn't an adult during that time. But
right.
I would also
That
say
is
no.
very adult though to deal with your emotions and deal like, make yourself a better allow yourself to learn the tools you need or go through the things you need to be better.
Yeah, because I would argue that I am now able to show up more in a
Mm,
much deeper and more satisfying way now because I
absolutely.
went through all of that, and I'm
Mm,
able to help my family and help my community in ways that I couldn't prior to going to do all of that.
mm.
And so
So
this idea of adulting, there's like these I think
yeah,
that the adulting part is very task oriented. Again,
yeah.
it's like very
That's what I
I'm
was trying to say. I don't think I said it well, but that's what I meant, like, that it's that if you can do these tasks, you're an adult, and if you can't,
right.
you're not, and that I feel like is a terrible way to look at it, especially
Yeah,
if we know you have these specific things that are difficult for your brain to do.
right. And I think also just I think it's incredibly mature to work through your past trauma. And
Yeah.
just the sheer act of being born is a trauma, right? Going from that lovely, warm, safe place to
Right.
this
The
cold
womb.
world. So
Yeah.
everybody, whether they want to believe it or not, everyone's got some form of trauma in their life that they have to work through. That's informing how they currently are and who they currently are.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the part where I would hope that we can start looking at it more kindly, that there are other ways to adult just beyond tasks.
Hmm. And I think when you're saying that, it makes me think as well that because different generations have different exposure to this and different things that that they consider to be adulting,
Yeah.
right? At least the term I keep hearing is kind of coming from more of the 20 somethings in my life. So that's why I bring it up because it's not to shame anybody, but they keep saying like, well, I have to adult today, and
Yeah.
what that means to them was to get off their phone and do their homework.
Mm.
So I feel like that's interesting to me. Like I'm curious about it because I do feel like with someone who's got attention distinctions, it really is a matter of your brain working against you
Mhm.
or working towards something else.
It's working against society's expectations.
And yet I see all these students every day who I now categorize in my mind as ADHD
Yeah.
because of the phone.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, the phone has really it grabs your attention and it negatively holds on to it at times, and it's very addictive. And so I think that I'm trying to think of the word, like it's compartmentalized ADD or ADHD.
Or
You know,
situational specific.
there you go. There's like situationally specific ADHD,
Yeah,
um and because there's a lot of people where they have some sort of an issue, and then once they get treatment for it, they then are normal. But
right.
that these phones have really diverted the attention away from being a social, interactive human, which is what we need and we crave. Everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's putting an entire generation into this socially stunted mentality and lifestyle. And I can feel for them because I've I was just put into a body that is socially stunted. And I don't know if stunted is the right word, but it's like I don't fit in with societal norms. I think these phones and technologies develop so quickly that we don't understand the repercussions of them
Mm,
fully, and they're everywhere. And so, yeah, I can see how difficult it would be, like, when you're on the phone and that's kind of like all you're doing, it does suck you in. And that's part of the reason why I struggle with social media. I know it sucks me in. I already have enough issues with attention. I don't need more thing
right.
grabbing my attention and keeping me away from being in society.
Hmm. So you feel like the phone example kind of gives people a hint at what it feels like to be ADHD, but at the same time, or potentially, right? Or could
Mhm.
be like it grabbing your attention, possibly in a negative way, stopping you from completing tasks, stopping you from doing the things you're supposed to do. And I wonder if there really is a choice in that for people. You're saying you don't have a choice in your brain doing this, but if they're addicted to the phone, then maybe
Well, I
there's
mean,
not a
I think
choice in
it's
that as much either.
I think it's probably just as complicated as alcoholism or having a drink. Some
Mhm.
people can probably drink for a long period of time and then stop because they don't have whatever chemical issues going on in the brain that allows they can stop it, right? They have an
Mm,
ability to. Whereas like the people who are alcoholics, they don't have the ability to stop. And so
mm,
I think that that's like the phones have sort of provide these generations some empathy and some insight into what it feels like to have an ADD brain or ADHD brain. I think I say ADD because that was sort of the original catchphrase, and so I'm having to like reform my brain. It's
yeah.
ADHD, but it does it allows for people to have this moment where they can recognize, oh, that's what it feels like. Because if they can get themselves out of being on the phone,
Mhm,
then they have that capability. They have the goblin or the butler in their head saying, here's what you need to do next. And they have something inside of them telling them how to adult.
mhm,
But it's so complicated because there's a lot there's a lot there. I'm feeling I have a lot of emotions about it, and I don't quite
mhm.
know how to articulate them yet.
Well, I like that you said the term adulting is sort of an ableist term. And I guess I didn't see it that way, but that does make sense because there's all these expectations. And I think, when you do become more adult, and I think they were saying, our brains take quite a while. I know for sure that things I've read said anywhere between 25 and 30 years old to kind
Yeah.
of be fully formed. And, depending on the person, if that part of your executive functioning is never going to be fully formed, so to speak, or is going to be formed in a way that isn't as useful. Let's put it that way, right? Like for you for daily tasks, super useful when you're like coming up with creative pictures for for our website, but not as useful when you're trying to take out the garbage or whatever. And so this idea though is that an expectation we should have of people. What are might be your expectations for yourself in terms of that adulting term? What do you think of that, or do you?
The first thing that comes to my mind is that I wanna be able to do the tasks that could potentially send me to prison.
You mean
So,
you don't want to do, or you do want to do things so you don't go to prison?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or that there's wait,
I thought
is
you
that
meant you wanted to like send yourself to prison. I'm like, what? Okay, sorry. Okay.
no,
You want
so,
to do,
like,
yeah,
any so, I
taxes.
any task that has a repercussion to it,
Mm,
that's what I hope that I can get done and not have it just weighing on me all the time, that I have a set structure of how I do it or somehow to remind me to do it, that it doesn't feel so overwhelming and so
mm,
panicking because I know that there's a big repercussion involved with it. But I think adulting wise, it's like I want to make sure that I can feed myself, clothe myself, house myself, the basic hierarchies.
mhm,
And then I envision down in the future that because I can figure out a way to get all of that automated, that then it allows for me to fulfill more of the creative world that I want to live in. Because right now these tasks they're debilitating to my creativity
mm.
because my brain is just trying every moment of every day to remember to do something and to get something done, and it's just gotten so out of control, so out of hand that it's really difficult to create.
So for you, adulting means being able to use more of your energy towards your creative outlets and life and less towards the day-to-day tasks that need doing.
Yeah. That would be like the best adult life.
That's
Like that
awesome.
makes me smile. Like what I think that's what adulting is that it's getting out of bed and smiling about being out of bed.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe not every day, but that the majority of days you're like, okay, 70% of the time I'm pretty good, you know? I'm here and I'm making progress and doing what I want to be doing and loving the people I want to love.
That's awesome. And I think when I am thinking about it, for me, the term I think was connected to people who I had seen who were adults and
Mm,
what their lives were like. And I really like what you're saying, which is I'm going to become an adult, but I need to be really thoughtful and purposeful about what I want that to look like.
yeah.
And that means, taking care of my basic needs, making sure I'm following societal regulations so I'm not in prison. That's a good one. But what that could look like could be really varied between people.
Yeah, because I think for so long, the boomer generation is just so big. I was watching this interior designer on YouTube and he was talking about different trends from the Gen Xers, Gen Zers, millennials, boomers. And he was saying that part of the reason why, like your generation, Michelle, like Gen Xers, they get kind of lost is because the boomers were just such a big group of people. And that even during your time, like when you're 20s, it was actually all of the interior design was masked by the boomers' interior design. So we don't really think about the Gen Xers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to that, it's like, okay, I looked at these people who were being adults that because those are the people I had reference to. And that's what I feel like we're supposed to look like is whatever the boomers were. But then I also look at the boomers and I'm like, well, not everybody was happy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody was fulfilled. And they're, you know, you hear these people when they're passing away and they have regrets and they, you know, start to learn things about themselves and what they should and shouldn't have been doing with their lives. And, you know, it's like, great. So you did all these adult oriented tasks. And how did that go for you? And granted, I think we have a luxury that they didn't have. We have hindsight, we have the internet, we have a lot of different things. We also have a lot of challenges too. So I can't look forward, I can't look back. In trauma, we talk about time traveling. And if I'm traveling into the future, if I'm always traveling into the past, it's not going to help me. All I can do is just be here present and say, okay, well, what's the best version of me today? And the best version of me today can get out of bed and take care of my basic needs and then hopefully have enough energy to put something really awesome into the world that only my brain can come up with.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Sisters, Sisters. This new series has us focusing more specifically on ADHD and its symptoms. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoy laughing at each other, please share it with someone you think would benefit from the conversation. Make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening to so that you can get notified each week. Next week, we'll be talking about cooking with my ADHD brain. It's sure to be a sizzler. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious.